Welcome to Life Soul Joy, the place for well-being in every way, with videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. So don't forget to click that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out. It's Magic Monday and here's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Hi, welcome, my name's Lauren, and not only is this the first Magic Monday video, but it's actually the first ever video on this channel. Magic Monday is your source of anything spiritual, whether it's manifestation, meditation or other practices. We're going to be talking a different topic every Monday. Today we are talking about tarot, more specifically the history of tarot and how it developed into the practice we see today in the modern world. We're also going to investigate a typical tarot deck. What are these cards and what do they represent? Before we look back on the history of tarot, let's quickly look at tarot readings in the modern world today. Tarot readings are acts of divination. Divination is described in the Cambridge Dictionary as simply the skill or act of saying or discovering what will happen in the future. And tarot cards are the tools used to help with predictions and discoveries. Although tarot reading, along with other divinations and fortune telling, is received with mixed response in the modern day, in history it was actually a very useful tool in practice. For example, in ancient Rome they used divination tools to determine the will of the gods and actually used it to guide them forwards in acts of war. In ancient civilizations, many different types of religious or spiritual figures within a community would use tools of divination. Examples of these figures in a community could be a shaman, a priest, an oracle, or a sorcerer. In fact, some practices of divination are so rooted in history, it is difficult to pinpoint the original context and how it has developed into the practices that we see today. Modern day divination practices include things like astrology, which is prediction based on your birth date and the planetary alignment, Cleromancy, which is a prediction based on throwing dice or small objects onto a board, and of course the topic we're talking about today, tarot card reading. Like divination, tarot cards are actually really difficult to pinpoint in history too. There are many theories showing ancient civilizations using card-based divination tools. Another belief that's quite popular is that tarot cards were invented in the 15th century AD in Italy. Interestingly, this European theory is that the cards were originally created as a game similar to bridge and weren't actually created for divination. Over time, however, it is theorised that spiritual users assigned meanings to these cards and started to use them as tools for divination. Possibly one of the most notable and popular tarot decks to have been created is the rider-waite deck. This deck was created by occultist Arthur Waite. He was a spiritualist, a mystic and an occultist. He was American born but moved to London, England with his mum when he was 1 year old. The popular artwork that you see on this deck was created by local artist Pamela Coleman Smith, and her artwork on this tarot deck is often used in publications about tarot card readings. Nowadays, however, there are so many different artworks for different tarot decks. There are things such as fairies, angels, animals, and even popular culture references such as Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. So, what makes up a tarot deck? And what do these cards mean? Well, each tarot deck contains 4 suits, much like your standard deck of playing cards. Usually, these tarot deck suits are swords, wands, cups and pentacles. But as I mentioned previously, there are some tarot decks that draw on popular culture and things like animals, and they tend to have different suits that suit the theme of the deck. For example, this tarot deck about dogs has 4 suits, which are leashes, cookies, bowls and bones. The 4 suits within a tarot deck are known as the minor arcana, and these are said to show everyday life and small lessons that need to be learned or overcome. Each suit represents different characteristics within a person or a situation. So wands are all about creativity, inspiration, action, and will. Pentacles talk about wealth, possessions, career, and money. The suit of cups talks about emotions, love, relationships, and connections. And finally, swords, which show reason, thoughts, communication, and conflict. As we count the suits in a tarot deck from 1 to 10, we then reach the court figures. The court figures in most standard tarot decks are page, knight, queen, and king. These court cards could represent a person involved in the situation within your reading. So a brief explanation on each of these court cards. So we'll start off with pages. Pages can represent somebody new. They could represent a new opportunity. It could represent a person that is trying something new. Or it could actually represent a child. So knights. Knights represent someone a little bit more mature than a page. It could be an adult that's slightly immature for their age. And knights can indicate a person or an atmosphere. So queens are feminine energy, but this doesn't mean that it only represents women. Feminine energy is very emotional energy. So this card, this queen, this feminine energy could represent looking inwards on yourself and looking at things like reliability, support, and intuition. And lastly, we'll move on to kings. This is masculine energy, but it doesn't just represent men. Masculine energy is all about action, taking charge, and being in control. But they do require some nurturing and support from feminine energy, which is why we have both masculine and feminine energy within us. So now we've talked about the minor arcana, we're now going to move on to the major arcana. So the major arcana in a tarot deck represent the bigger, more significant things in your life. These things might represent a situation that's going to take longer to resolve or might take a long time to overcome. The 22 major arcana cards in a tarot deck represent different situations that we could face in life. These cards show the bigger picture and the long-term direction you need to take. So today I'm just going to show you 3 of the major arcana cards out of the 22, just so you get an idea of the type of cards that are included in this. Firstly, we've got the Lovers. So as you can probably tell, this is talking about a love connection or a relationship that you may be in or may be currently going towards. It's going to highlight something you need to address in that relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean an issue or that it's going to end, but there's just something you need to work on or you and your partner need to work on together within that relationship. Secondly, we have the Hermit. As you might be able to tell from this card, it is all about being alone, but not necessarily in a negative way. This card might come up if you need to have more self-love. It might also come up if it's telling you that you need to go inwards to find the answer of something you're looking for. The Hermit is also going to push you to listen to your gut feelings and your intuition, because you have the answer within you and you need to find it. And thirdly, lastly, we have Temperance. Temperance signifies peace, moderation, and patience. It reminds you to go with the flow of life and try not to force a situation or force a direction that you want to go down. The cards are drawn and interpreted by the reader and can be altered depending on a few different things. The meanings of the cards may differ depending on how the cards are drawn, how they are laid out or spread, and whether they are upright or reversed. A couple of examples of this are a reader may do a 3-card spread with a past, present, and future reading. Therefore, the meaning of the cards would represent different parts of your life. Another example is if the card is drawn upright, the meaning will still stand depending on other cards in the layout. However, if the card is drawn reversed or upside down, the meaning is usually the opposite of the original meaning. So to explain further, if a card is drawn that shows positive wealth gain and it's drawn upside down, it could actually indicate loss. Learning tarot is a very, very interesting journey. There are many combinations and interpretations that readers, like myself, can come across. It seems to be endless. So if you're interested in learning more about tarot or other spiritual practices, make sure to join me here every single Monday for Magic Monday. So you don't miss a video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and put the bell notifications on so you know when I upload every single week. Don't forget to check my channel art to see my different scheduled uploads every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, covering all different topics of well-being. And finally, I just want to say a huge thank you for watching my very first video on this channel. Don't forget to join me every Monday for more spiritual topics. I really hope to see you again, and I hope that you'll stick around. And lastly, take care, look after yourself and others, and stay safe.